Hi, my name is Lyle Sopel, and you're here with me in my studio today, and I'm working on a jade eagle that I had started last week, and we did a little film on it, and if you're following my posts, you'll have seen how it started as a pretty big block and a rough cut, and we were using a saw to work through the shape. But now I've been working on the grinder, and I've shaped a lot of the material, the cuts off of it, and I started thinning the piece out. And so right now what I'm trying to do is find the proportion of the head. And I've sculpted it in shape as a rough, and it's still kind of a block right now. But I wanted to see what the actual look of the head would be in that particular place. So it always helps to do a little drawing. I love to draw through all of the things that I'm working on, but it's also great to have the base in place for the mounting of this piece, and that's what I intend to do, is use this smoky quartz as a base mounting for this piece. And so it's going to be mounted somewhat like this on the top of the quartz, if you can see it from that angle. So this is a jade eagle on the smoky quartz base. And so this is not going to be the finished base portion here. It's going to have a black wavy base on the bottom and some fish and so on. So it's a lot more detail in the overall look of the piece, and then finding the right place to mount it on the crystal is also another point. So it still has a long way to go, but I wanted to show you how it progresses through the carving process. So all the way through, I'm controlling the shape, and I'm trying to get the gesture of the wing pattern, and so that's all laid in right from the beginning of the block. I put that gesture in so that I get movement, and then I'm turning the head so we have some tension in the piece rather than just have it square on. And so that's all part of my artistic interpretation. And so that's kind of like the topic that Curtis and I have been having this morning, is we've just been kind of rambling on about when do you decide that you're an artist? And so I think that's been my pursuit for more than 35 years, is I've been trying to be an artist. I think that's what it was. When I was very young, I decided that I wanted to pursue an artistic career. So I went to school, and I studied, and then I went on to have different aspects of my jade sculpting career, and then went on to have my own studio and so on. So all along, I was pursuing an artistic career. And at some point, people that were collecting my work or galleries that were selling my work said, "Yeah, your work's artistic. You're an artist." And I would always ask myself, well, am I? I'm still learning, I'm still developing, and is what I do now an artist? So I thought that's a really interesting question to ask, and I want to ask you out there, is like, when do you determine that you're an artist? At what point in your artistic career or your creative endeavors do you decide that you're an artist? Or do you allow other people that are around you or that collect your work or that see your work determine for you that you're an artist? There's a very famous artist in Vancouver who is now passed on, but he was always considered himself, his name is Bill Reed, he always considered himself to be a maker of things. Although his collectors and people that sold his work definitely called him an artist. He was a creative person that came up with original designs, but he always thought of himself as a maker of things. So he did jewelry, he did sculpture, he did paintings and all that kind of stuff, but he still just liked to make things. And I can really identify with that as well. I just really love to make things, but I make them with a particular, I guess, judgment. I judge how I like to see this. I like to have it in a certain way. I like to have minerals involved, and I like to work with hard stones, gems, all kinds of things like that. So I made that distinction about how I want to make things. And so other people around me decided that I'm an artist as well. And I think of myself as in pursuit of an artistic career, because I'm always learning, right? So I'd really like to know how you feel. How do you think of yourself? There's so many things that I see on the internet that people say, this is my artistic endeavor, and I go, well, I make a judgment, and I say, well, I don't think so. You know, that's so simple, that's so, you know, inappropriate or whatever, and they call it artistic, but is it artistic? Who determines that? You know, I have this friend who is a doctor, Dr. Zella Jackson, and she's in the marketing of contemporary art her whole life. She's a professor, she's got an engineering degree, she's got a lot of background in design, and she told me once, you know, you're not a professional artist until you make a profit. And I thought, that's a really interesting concept, that you're not determined by maybe society or where you work and how you sell until you make a profit on your art. She said, everybody else, if you're not making a profit on what your art, you're a craftsman, a hobbyist. So I think that would really burn a lot of people that work with painting or whatever. You know, they think of themselves as being artistic, but if you use her judgment, say, well, not artistic until you make a profit, then you're just a craftsman. You're just having fun. You're just like amusing yourself. You're amusing your day. You're having a fun time, or not artistic at all, even though you use some kind of a creative energy, but I don't know what that is. So until you can turn that into a profit and approach it in that way, her aspect was, yeah, you're not an artist. So that brings to mind this idea that Michelangelo, like some time ago, not too long ago, they found some records, some banking records from the 1400s that determined how much money Michelangelo had in his Florentine bank account when he died, and it was the equivalent of $17 million in today's dollars. So that's interesting that he could have so much money as an artist. So he wasn't starving, like you just say that, you know, not a starving artist. And is a starving artist more of an artist than someone else? So this is kind of this rambling conversation we've been having this morning, and I think it's kind of a pertinent one, because how do you determine this? So for me, to determine a profit on what I do is I keep accurate records. How much did this stone cost? How much did this base cost? How much time did I put into it? And then that all evaluates into how much I charge for it in the marketplace, and then I know what my clients will pay for it. So that gives me, you know, a way to value what I do. And I always make sure that I get a profit from it, because in this business, I can't continue without making money to buy more jade, more gemstones, pay the rent, pay the mortgage. All those kinds of things have to be in place. So it becomes a business as well. And there's a mix of business and art, or business and craft, whatever your judgment is of it. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Now, is it relative to how creative you are, or is it relative to how much money you make, is the question, I think. Is it creativity or money that determines your artistic interpretation, or is it like the general society around you that says, yeah, he's an artist because he does that? What about Damien Hirst, for instance, who, you know, makes sharks in formaldehyde tanks, you know? Gets, I think he originally sold it for $12 million. How much profit was in that? The bigger the profit, the more artistic he is? I don't know. That's a really interesting question, and maybe we could resolve this question. If you answered this, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think, all right? Okay, so I'm gonna be on with my project and get on with the grinding, and so not going to answer the question myself. I'm just going to have a good time here. So thanks for being with me today, and stay creative. Bye for now.